Fire Cooking. I'm Aaron Higgins, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing what's called a venison confit, and that is a French technique. It's actually a technique that's it's been around for a long time. Confit is essentially cooking a meat submerged in its own fat, and then you can store that for months. Really, it's a technique that was used to preserve meat before refrigeration was readily available for people. So it goes back a long way, but people still use it today because if you do it right, it can come out delicious. We're going to season this, and we're going to let it hang out and come up to room temperature. We're going to sear this when it comes out. When it's done, we're going to sear it over charcoal. So what I have here is I have a venison roast and several cuts of venison backstrap that was harvested last season by a buddy of mine. And all we're going to do with this venison here is we're just going to give it a good dose of coarse kosher salt. Sprinkle it right on there. Then afterwards we're going to come back over with some coarse ground black pepper. Get a good coat on it. Just give it a little bit of a pat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip these cuts of meat over. And we're going to give the same treatment to the other side. And salt. Come back over with our black pepper. Okay, so now that we're good and seasoned, what we're going to do is we're just going to let this seasoning go to work on the meat for a little bit. I'm going to let it sit out for about an hour. Let it come to room temperature and let it pull some moisture out of this venison. And then after that, I'll show you how to set up the slow cooker and our rendered beef fat. That's the fat we're going to be using to do this confit. We wouldn't be able to use venison fat because venison doesn't have any fat. For one, deer don't have any fat. I mean, you probably have to shoot 100 deer to get enough deer fat to do what we're going to do here. This is going to be cool. This is going to be some little French twist to what we normally do here at New England Fire Cooking. Stick around. Okay, so we've let our venison hang out for about an hour. Seasoning's done some work on this meat here. So now it's time to get them into the slow cooker and get ready to add our beef fat. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take this meat and we're just going to set it into the slow cooker. Now we're going to come in with our rendered beef fat here. I'm going to get this stuff right out of these containers. What this beef fat is going to do is it's going to cook this meat and it's also going to preserve it. I can't stress enough that with a confit, when you do a confit like this, you really need to make sure that the meat is completely submerged. You don't want to have any meat poking through the bath of fat. If you have meat sticking up through the fat, you need to add some more fat. You can, if you don't have enough beef fat, you can throw a little butter in there or something like that. You just want to make sure that the meat stays submerged. If it doesn't stay submerged, it means oxygen can get to your meat, okay, which is just going to cause it to go bad. And let's see where that gives us. I've got a little bit more in reserve if this doesn't get us where we need to go. But I think this will either get us or it'll be pretty darn close. So stick around and I'll show you what this is like in a little bit. Okay, so here we are. We got our venison in the slow cooker. We got our rendered beef fat on top of it. It's completely submerged. We got about maybe a tablespoon and a half of minced garlic that I threw in there for a little bit of extra flavor. This is going to cook for about 5 hours at 190 degrees, and then after that, all we're going to do is we're going to shut this slow cooker off, let it get back down to room temperature, and then it's going to go in the refrigerator for the next 5 days. And we'll see you in 5 days when we go to give it a sear. Stick around. Okay, guys, here we are. 5 days later. This is day number 5, and this is what your venison confit should look like. It's been in my fridge actually for the last 5 days, but it's completely submerged in this beef fat. And what we're going to do now is we're going to slowly heat this back up so we can get into that meat and be able to pull it out, and then we're going to blast it on a nice hotbed of B&B lump charcoal and give it a really good sear. So for this venison cook, what we're going to do is we're going to use my char griller offset smoker, but we're not going to be using the firebox. We're going to be cooking directly over charcoal. And charcoal we're using B&B lump charcoal, and what we're going to do is we're going to get 2 chimneys fired up and get a nice hotbed of charcoal going, and then we'll be ready to cook. To light this charcoal, I'm just going to use one of these organic fire starter, and then just set the charcoal right back down on top of that, and you're good to go. Once that gets hot, it'll go right in the pan, and we'll be ready to cook. All right, we're back. It's getting dark, but we wanted to show you this. This is the venison confit, and it's fully cooked. We're just going to throw a nice crunchy sear on it, and we're going to be done, and it's going to be time to smash. I'm using grill grates for any grill. These things are awesome. This little one's gonna go really fast. And just for a little smoke, we're gonna take a handful of cherry and hickory and throw it right on, and then we'll get it shut. Stick around, it's gonna be eating time soon. We're gonna go 90 seconds aside on this, and it's gonna be delicious. Okay, guys, we are at the moment of truth. This is seared venison confit, and now I am going to try it, and I am so excited to do this because I have absolutely no idea what this is going to be like. I've never had this before. So here we go. I just grabbed the smallest piece we got, and I'm just going to cut. Oh, wow. This is so tender. This is unbelievably tender. The fork's going right through it, and you can just tell there's a good crunch. I like this end piece right here. There's a good crunch on the outside. Look at that. That's venison, cooked in beef fat. That just completely falls apart in your mouth. Anyone who says they don't like wild game, they haven't been preparing it properly. They really haven't. Because this is completely exquisite. I mean, I've had other meat that's been cooked via confit, but this is just out of this world. This is the best way to have venison I think I've ever had. It just completely falls apart in your mouth. That's unbelievable. I could eat this whole pan. I'm not joking. I could eat this whole thing. You got plenty of seasoning, salt and pepper. It's at that point where there's just enough seasoning. You could add more if you wanted to. The seasoning isn't overwhelming. You got great venison flavor. You got great beef flavor from the beef fat. It's extremely tender from the beef fat. And I keep looking down at this stuff like it's the holy grail of meat. This is really, really good. I would stack this right up against any brisket any day. This is awesome. You really can't go wrong with this. And this is, I don't know how lean it is anymore after the confit, but wow. It just falls apart. It's definitely not gamey. Yeah, I think this is a winner, if not the winner. Hey guys, look, you can do this on any grill. especially because you're cooking on direct heat. You can do this on your gas grill. I like it over charcoal, but I'm telling you, crock pot and some beef fat, and you get some venison, this is the way to do it. This is a home run. All day long. All day long. If you like what we're doing here at New England Fire Cooking, subscribe to our channel. Let us know what you think. Give us your feedback in the comments section. And thanks for hanging out with us today. This is awesome. We'll see you next time.